Power has always carried secrets, and throughout history, the most dangerous secrets were never hidden from enemies, but from the public itself. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, stood at the very center of global power during one of the most unstable periods in human history, a time when a single decision could erase millions of lives in seconds. And behind his calm speeches and confident smile existed a world of classified briefings, shadow conflicts, and information never meant to be revealed. JFK was not just a president addressing the public. He was a man receiving intelligence reports late into the night, documents marked top secret, and warnings that painted a far darker picture of reality than anything Americans saw on television. According to historical records and declassified material released decades later, Kennedy often expressed frustration that he was being told only fragments of the truth, and this desire to see the full picture would quietly place him on a collision course with powerful forces operating beyond public oversight. To the world, John F. Kennedy symbolized hope, youth, and renewal, a sharp contrast to the fear-driven atmosphere of the Cold War. His speeches inspired confidence, his leadership style appeared calm and decisive, and his presidency gave the impression that the United States was firmly in control of its future. However, behind closed doors, Kennedy faced relentless pressure from military advisors, intelligence agencies, and political elites who often presented him with options that involved secrecy, deception, and devastating consequences. As president, Kennedy quickly learned that public narratives and private realities were never the same. Decisions presented as necessary for national security often came with hidden costs, and intelligence operations frequently operated beyond the limits of presidential control. This realization deeply disturbed him, because Kennedy believed that unchecked power, even in the name of protection, could become something far more dangerous. During his presidency, JFK requested access to classified intelligence files that few presidents before him had examined in detail. These files included covert operations overseas, secret alliances formed without congressional approval, and activities carried out in the shadows under the justification of national defense. According to historians, the deeper Kennedy looked, the more concerned he became about how much authority had been handed to organizations that operated without transparency or accountability. Declassified reports suggest that Kennedy began questioning whether the presidency truly controlled the machinery of power, or whether the presidency itself had become a symbolic position, while real decisions were made elsewhere. This shift in thinking marked a turning point, because once a leader begins to question hidden authority, that leader becomes unpredictable. The failed Bay of Pigs invasion was not merely a military embarrassment. It was a personal betrayal in Kennedy's eyes. He believed he had been misled by intelligence officials who underestimated the risks and overstated the chances of success. After the operation collapsed, Kennedy privately expressed anger and distrust toward the intelligence community, and according to multiple historical accounts, he discussed the idea of drastically restructuring intelligence agencies to prevent similar deceptions in the future. One statement attributed to Kennedy, in which he allegedly spoke of breaking the CIA into pieces, sent shockwaves through the intelligence world. Whether symbolic or sincere, the message was clear. Kennedy was no longer willing to blindly accept secret operations carried out without full presidential oversight. The Cuban Missile Crisis remains the closest humanity has ever come to nuclear annihilation, and while the public witnessed speeches and diplomatic exchanges, The reality behind the scenes was far more terrifying. Secret negotiations, private threats, and undocumented discussions took place as military leaders pushed for aggressive action while Kennedy searched for a way to avoid irreversible destruction. Many recordings and documents from this period remain incomplete, and historians continue to debate what information was never preserved. The absence of full records has fueled decades of questions about what Kennedy truly knew, what he was willing to sacrifice to prevent war, and what information was considered too dangerous to permanently document. On November 22, 1963, the sound of gunfire ended a presidency and shattered a nation's sense of security. Within hours of Kennedy's assassination, evidence was sealed, investigations were rushed, and official conclusions were presented to the public with unsettling speed. Witness accounts conflicted, documents were classified, and questions emerged almost immediately about how much information was being withheld. Over the following decades, thousands of pages related to Kennedy's death were released, but many arrived heavily redacted, while others remained classified far longer than expected. The continued secrecy surrounding these files has led many to wonder why information related to an event so old could still pose a threat in the present day. History often remembers leaders for their speeches and public moments, but the most important truths are frequently hidden in documents that remain locked away. John F. Kennedy's presidency was marked not only by inspiration and leadership, but by a growing awareness of how power truly operates behind the scenes. Whether his knowledge directly influenced his fate remains officially unresolved. But one fact is undeniable. The questions surrounding his presidency refuse to disappear. Some secrets fade with time, while others wait patiently beneath layers of silence, protected not by walls, but by fear of what their release might reveal. And perhaps the darkest truth of all is not what John F. Kennedy knew, but why so much of it remains hidden even today. If this story made you question what you were taught about history, don't stop here. Subscribe to Presidential Dark Secrets, where power, silence, and hidden truths collide. Because some secrets don't disappear, they're just waiting to be exposed.